Hello, this is Candace, and this is my part of the introduction for the Scottsboro Boys. Okay, this is a picture of the Scottsboro Boys. The Scottsboro Boys were 9 black teenagers falsely accused in Alabama of raping 2 white American women on a train in 1931. Here is a picture of, it looks like they're getting loaded into a prison, and there's Victoria Price and Ruby Bates, which I'll talk about them in just a second. The Scottsboro deputies found 2 white women, Ruby Bates and Victoria Price, and pressured them into accusing the 9 youths of raping them on board the train. The charge of raping white women was an explosive accusation, and within 2 weeks the Scottsboro boys were convicted and sentenced to death, the youngest, Leroy Wright, at age 13 to life imprisonment. And this is about the fight. A fight broke out between a group of black and white hobos, and the whites were thrown out of the train. And here's a picture of the train. And that is it for my project. Thank you for watching. Bye.
My name is Brianna, and I did my project on Ruby Bates and Victoria Price. Ruby Bates and Victoria Price. Ruby Bates was the first girl that accused the Scottsboro boys of rape. She was a poor mill worker and a known prostitute. Her testimony began with her talking about Lester Carter and the L&N Railroad. Asked why she was on the train, decided to tell the truth about what happened on the freight train. Told people that Victoria made up the whole story. How she acted in court. She was polite and cooperative. She was quiet and less spoken to. Had a nervous twitch when asked questions. Post-trial. Campaigned for the release of the Scottsboro boys, publicly apologized, and hoped the boys would forgive her. She died in 1976 at 63 years old. Victoria Price, second girl who accused the boys of rape, was 21 at the time, poor and worked in local cotton mill in Alabama, known prostitute. Her testimony. She said 6 of them were wielding guns and knives. Denied ever knowing Lester Carter or sleeping with him. Denied ever going to L&N Railroad with Ruby. How she acted in court. She was nervous and twitching and would deny something but agree to it later. Post-trial. Guilty of perjury but was not arrested. She was offered freedom if the charges was dropped. Refused to budge under cross-examination, was no longer needed to testify, and faded into obscurity.
My name is Justina, and I'm doing a topic about the Scottsboro boys. The Scottsboro boys. Clarence Norris, the son of a former slave, he was 19. He took the Southern Railroad to look for work, but instead he was arrested with 8 other African-American teenagers he didn't know. He was sentenced to death, paroled in 1946. He spent 15 years in prison for the crime. He was the only one that was still alive. Andy Wright, 19 at the time of his arrest, was the older brother of Scottsboro boy Roy Wright. Andy Wright was arrested, sentenced to 99 years in prison, was accused along with 8 other men of raping 2 white women. Charlie Weems was a native of Chattanooga, Tennessee. He did not know the other 8 African-American defendants. He was sentenced to 75 years, paroled in 1943. Willie Robertson was born on the 4th of July, 1915. He was exonerated. He spent 6 years in prison without a retrial, released in 1937, but was plagued with asthma. He had been greatly aggravated by his time in jail, and he eventually died of an asthma attack. Olin Montgomery was born in Monroe, Georgia. He made it through fifth grade and was the only defendant who could write at the time of the 9 teenagers' arrest. He wore glasses, but at the time he was arrested, they got broke. He then went 2 years without a new pair. He was exonerated as well. And okay. In 1931, Eugene Williams was traveling from Chattanooga to Memphis looking for work with his friend Haywood Patterson and Roy and Andy Wright. He was exonerated as well. He was young, so the Supreme Court of Alabama struck down his conviction based on his age. After his release and a brief entertainment career, Williams moved to St. Louis, where he had relatives who helped him adjust to relatively stable life. Roy Wright was born and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Roy Wright was interviewed by the New York Times while he awaited his trial in juvenile court. When he was 13, he left for the first time to look for work with his older brother, but then he got arrested, accused of rape with the other 8 defendants. Ozzie Powell was born in Ruelle, Georgia, near Atlanta in 1916. He was charged with assaulting a deputy, paroled in 1946. His parents separated when he was young. His mother worked for white people in Atlanta. He could write his name, but not much else. Haywood Patterson, sentenced to death, escaped in 1948. Born December 12, 1912. Haywood was 18 at the time he was accused of rape by Victoria Price and Ruby Bates. Born in Georgia, he was the son of a sharecropper. He left school at the 3rd grade. And here are some pictures of the Scottsboro boys, the train they got took off of.
I'm Jacob Hudson, and this is how the Scottsboros got out of jail. Okay, so Charles Weems was paroled in 1943. Norris was paroled in 1944. Andy Wright was sent to prison for 99 years. He never got out. Ozzie Powell, charged with assaulting a deputy, paroled in 1946. Roy Wright, released. Haywood Patterson, sentenced to death, escaped in 1948. Eugene Williams, he was released too. Olin, I do not know how to pronounce his last name, please excuse me. And he was released also. And Riley Robertson, he was also released.
He knows the song, don't you?